Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, and I am super excited to share with you today these 3 beautiful autumn projects on the first day of fall made using the Autumn Greetings bundle from Stampin' Up! Now, this bundle is easy to miss in the catalog. I'm going to show you where you can find it, but it's one that again, it's not part of a suite, so it's easy to miss. It's found on page 50. Gorgeous stamp images and coordinating dies. Now, it's hard to see the dies in the catalog, so I'm going to show you up close and personal. The stamp set has these beautiful floral images and gorgeous fonts. Absolutely love it. But what really excites me is this stamp set. You have the 2 dies that coordinate with the stamps, but then we also have these awesome dies. 2 beautiful edge dies. These wheat sheaves are what sold me on the stamp set, not gonna lie. And then we have pumpkins that can layer. So we have the outline and then a solid image. We're gonna use those on some projects today as well. So awesome, awesome bundle. And we are going to make these 3 projects today, okay? So to start, we are going to work on this card. Now, this card uses the spotlighting technique. So a spotlighting technique is one of the very first stamping techniques that I ever learned as a new stamper. And it is a great way to highlight part of an image with color without coloring the entire image, okay? So I didn't want you to have to sit and watch me color this whole thing today. So I decided to just highlight one portion of it. So we are working on this card. So this is a spotlighting technique card. And just before we were rudely interrupted by my lack of internet, I had stamped this large floral image on a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock and then run it through and emboss it using the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. And it gives just a lovely bit of texture. Hi, Sue. Thank you for letting me know that you can see me. That's good to know. And then I also stamped the same image on a piece of very vanilla cardstock using early Espresso ink and then die cut out a circle just from a portion of the image that we are going to color. All right. Okay. So it sounds like we are back in business, hoping that that continues to be the case so I can get through my projects because I have some awesome fall projects to show you. So to color, now I could do a whole lot of shading on this. The line art images in this stamp set are awesome to color, but I'm not going to take the time to do a lot of shading on this one, just in the interest of time. So I'm starting with my roses in the center of my image here, and I'm coloring that in, what am I using? Dark Daffodil Delight. It's a really nice, rich, warm yellow. Very close to Bumblebee. So lots of people were asking when the new Stampin' Blends came out and the new ink colors, why there was no Bumblebee. Well, I'm telling you, this Dark Daffodil Delight is very, very close to Bumblebee, and I think that's why we didn't get a Bumblebee marker. So I'm just being really delicate around those little flowers so that I don't have the color bleed, because I want to do them in a different shade. And I'm just really quickly filling this in. I'm not taking a ton of time to try to follow the petals or be really careful. You don't have to with this because it's such a great image. It works. So I'm coloring this, as I said, with a dark daffodil. Who else is here? Debbie's here. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for sticking around and waiting for me. I wish the modem reset was quick, but it has to like turn off and turn back on, which is why it takes a while. So hopefully this has done the trick and we are back in business. And then this will save properly to my page without a whole lot of interruptions or blurriness. That's one of the biggest frustrations for me when I do a video and nobody can see it because it's so blurry. I was noticing the Wi-Fi was a little sluggish when I got home from work, and I should have just reset the modem, but that'll teach me. Next time I'm suspicious, just go with my gut. All right, so there are my pretty roses colored in the dark daffodil. And then I have just a little bit of the pumpkin. So we're going to color our pumpkin. Hi, Judy. Hi, Jen. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around and waiting for me while I dealt with my Wi-Fi problems. So I'm coloring this little pumpkin in the dark pumpkin pie. So we've got dark daffodil delight, dark pumpkin pie. I'll just try to line all my colors up here so you can get an idea of the color palette. And then my flowers, these little guys, I did in light cherry cobbler. Okay, so I used dark, and now I'm going to use the light. The dark cherry cobbler is quite dark. I had experimented with the dark and it actually obscured the image. Like you couldn't really see the detail on the flowers. It was just too dark. If I were stamping in black ink, it probably would have been okay. But because I'm stamping in early espresso, you didn't get all of the detail on the flowers when coloring with the dark cherry cobbler. Now this coloring is not going to be great because I can't get very close to see that I'm staying in the lines. So I'm just going to try and hope that I am close and then clean it up later with my color lifter. So there is one red flower, and then we'll do these guys, this guy down here. So again, I'm just being really careful as I come up to that rose because I don't want the red to bleed. The red does bleed a little bit more than the other colors. And the other thing, if you have never colored with blends on very vanilla cardstock, you will find it bleeds a little bit more than your Whisper White. I'm not entirely sure why, it just seems to. That's what I've noticed. Okay, there are my red flowers. So that was the light cherry cobbler, okay? Then I'm going to come in, actually, I'm going to bring back my pumpkin pie and color this leaf in pumpkin pie as well. And then I'm going to add some shadows along the veins with Cajun Craze. So we're just going to come in here. I'm going to try really hard to color around this eucalyptus. It can be a bit of a challenge when you can't look directly at your image. If I did, all you'd see is the back of my head. Which, let me tell you, it's just gray hair. Nobody wants to see that. All right, let's clean this guy up here. And, whoops, that one went a bit under the line just a titch. That's all right. That's what the color lifter's for. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with my, which is this, the dark Cajun Craze. And I'm going to add just a little bit of shadow along the veins on the leaf, just for a little bit of contrast there. And that's going to bleed and spread, and you're going to see it's going to blend really well with the pumpkin pie. Okay. All right. Whoops. I should put that there. There. And then we have the light mossy meadow. So I'm going to use a light mossy meadow on this other leaf. So I'm going to just bring this in here and color around these fun little seed pods. I love the images, all the different floral images in this set. It reminds me very much of our wedding decor. We got married in October and we had awesome fall floral decor with all of these fun like seed pods and leaves and mums and pumpkins and gourds. It was great. I love fall decorating. I just decorated my front porch this weekend for fall. All right, so that is almost done. There we go. Clean that guy up. Okay, then we are going to color our eucalyptus with light crumb cake. Okay, so I'm going to come in with the light crumb cake and just, these guys go really quick because there's almost nothing to the image. So I'm basically just using my brush tip and filling in that each leaf here. Goes pretty fast. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my soft suede. This is light soft suede, and I'm going to use it to color, actually I'm not even going to worry about those guys because that's going to get covered by my sentiment. I'm only going to color the stem on my pumpkin here. That is all I'm going to do. On my original, I had colored those little seed pods, but we're not going to see them, so we're not going to bother. There we go. That is your color palette. Okay, I got my pumpkin pie upside down. That's going to bother me. All right, so those are the blends that I use to color this. Awesome, awesome color palette for fall. All right, so now we are ready to put this together. So the trickiest part of this is actually making sure that you line up your spotlit image with the background image. So you want to take a second and just kind of play around with it until you get it exactly lined up. Okay, so that's going to give you an idea. So you see how I've layered that on there, and it's almost perfect. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stick that down. We're going to pop it up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to grab a couple of these guys and pop them on here, and now I'm going to get to go to all that trouble of lining it up again. That's okay. We'll get rid of our backings here. Would you believe my iPad still hasn't loaded with the video? So I'm trying to see comments on my phone. It is not that easy because my phone is higher, so I have to sit up really tall to see. All right, let's see if we can get this guy lined up as well as we had it. That's not bad. There we go. Oh, it's not great. Okay, there we are. Next, we are going to layer that on a piece of Bumblebee. So this was cut to 5 1/4 by 4. So this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Okay, so we're going to layer that on there and just have that narrow little border. And for this, I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to actually put it onto my larger piece. The Stampin' Seal sometimes is not like this Tasteful Textile embossing folder. It'll tear the cardstock. So I find if I put it onto my unembossed panel, I get better results. Okay, and then that is going to layer onto our card base. Get rid of my other little bits here. So I have an early espresso cardstock base. It's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, 4 1/4, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we're going to fold that in half. Oh, your husband had fall, or your son had fall decor too, did they, Heather? Yeah, I love fall decor, and it's cheap, right? Pumpkins and gourds are plentiful and cheap at this time of year, which is great. So we did our wedding decor on the cheap, which is awesome, because we spent a lot of money on other things that were important, like a live band, right? Let's get our priorities straight. Okay, so there we are. Now we're going to stamp our sentiment. So here I have a 3/4 inch wide by, I don't know, maybe 4 inch strip of Crumb Cake cardstock. And I'm going to bring in this "Hello There, Friend" sentiment in a beautiful font. And we're going to stamp that in Early Espresso. So right about there. And then I'm going to bring in my tailored tag punch, because honestly, even though we have this awesome banner punch, this is kind of my go-to. I find it quick and easy to grab, and I can cut any size banner like really, really fast. So that is why I tend to use this more than any other punch for making my banners. All right, so now we're going to put this onto our card. We're going to add it, and I'm going to hide those little guys that didn't get colored. Okay, it's going to go on right about there. So I'm going to add a dimensional on one end and a little bit of seal on the other. And we'll just pop that onto there and hopefully get it straight. Hopefully. There we go. And then our last little touch, we have a couple of these little wheat images that I've die cut from the brushed copper cardstock. So I only need really just the heads of the wheat sheaves, right? So I'm going to cut off the stems. Don't need them. And I'm just going to take a glue dot. Actually, you know what? No, I'll take a little bit of liquid glue. We'll just put a couple of dots of liquid glue on here. And then we're going to tuck these just up underneath, just like this. So there's one. And number 2 is going to tuck under here. Oopsie, you stay there. This guy's going to tuck under there like that. Okay, super simple card, but a great way to highlight that beautiful floral image without spending a ton of time coloring. Okay, so that is, whoop, you moved. You stay put. There we go. So that is number 1. All right, done. Moving on to number 2. Now, this is the one that I posted earlier today. I absolutely love all of the different textures on this card. So we have stamping on the card base. We've got the speckle texture on the DSP. We've got embossed leaves. We've got these wooden elements, and we've got this braided trim. So like the textures on this just make me really happy. So I'm going to show you how I put that all together. So I'll get out all of my little bits here. And to start, I've already die cut a piece of, this is, what is it called? Gilded Autumn DSP. That's what it's called. And it has these awesome pumpkins on the back, but this is my favorite pattern, this Crumb Cake spatter. It's just so versatile. You can do so many things with it. So this started out as a 4 by 4.5 inch piece of DSP. Okay, and then I cut it using the dies along the top and bottom edge to give me that decorative finish. So now I'm going to bring in my awesome floral image again. We're going to ink that up. This again is Early Espresso ink. I only used one ink color in all 3 cards today. I'm all about the neutrals. So we're going to go ahead and stamp that. Again, we're going to stamp it a little bit to the left because we want to see some of the image, not all of it. Okay, so there's our image. And then we're going to start building our layers. So the first layer here is this piece of Plaid Tidings DSP. This is this awesome, I love the colors in this, awesome fall plaid. It sure does. Yeah, you're right, Heather. Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this. Now I've die cut this using the Stitch So Sweetly dies. It's that cute scalloped rectangle. So I'm going to stick this down pretty close to my bright edge on my DSP. So we'll just take a little bit of liquid glue here and we'll throw that on there just like that. And I kind of want to center it top to bottom, but quite close to the edge of my DSP. Okay, then I have some of these awesome wheat sheaves and we're going to just kind of arrange them on that plaid piece. And I'm going to have to trim them a little bit because I don't want the stems kind of hanging out below. So we're going to get rid of a little bit of this. These are quite long. Now I have actually die cut these using some of the adhesive sheets on the back, which makes sticking these rather delicate die cuts really simple. So we'll just get rid of that backing and we'll pop this guy on right about here. And then this guy is going to go on the other side. Get that backing off. Hi, Wendy. How are you doing? I'm trying to read comments on my phone. It's not easy. I don't know what is up with this iPad. I think we need a new one. It's been around since my son was, I want to say 5, and he's now 13, so it's pretty old. And we'll put this guy in the middle. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to layer this on a piece of Cajun Craze cardstock. So this is cut. That's the way it goes. It's almost square. So this is 4 1/8 by 4 3/8. Okay. So it's just cut to fit behind that DSP panel. So we're going to add a little bit of glue and pop this on just about like that. There we go. Oh, I do too, Sue. These wheat sheaves are what sold me on this die set. I'm a sucker for buying like a die set for one die because I really love it. All right. Before we adhere this, we're going to do a little bit of stamping on our card base. So this is the exact same size card base as the last card, for 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to bring in this little leaf stamp. So this again is from the same stamp set. And we're going to stamp just a little bit of a border along the top and bottom edge. It's really subtle. I'm not sure how well it shows up. Can you see that border? We're going to stamp that just using this little leaf die. So I'm just going to kind of ink it with my Early Espresso and just kind of walk across the bottom and top edge of my card base. And that's just going to give me just a little subtle bit of texture on my background without really taking away from all the gorgeousness on the focal image. All right, so there we go. You can see that little leaf border there. So now we're ready to go ahead and layer this onto the front of our card. So we're going to add just a little bit of tape or glue or whatever. Oh, I just realized I forgot to put my twine on. Whoopsie. Before we glue that down, we got to add this. So this is some of the braided linen trim, and I almost forgot to put it on. So we're going to cut just a little smidge here. I am a little bit flustered today because that internet issue threw me off. Not to mention the fact that we just had our first confirmed positive case of COVID at school today. Good times to be a high school teacher, let me tell you. Yeah, life is interesting. Okay, so we are going to stick that guy on there. Now we can stick this down onto the front of our card. And we're going to try to center it top to bottom, relatively. There we go. Okay. And then we are going to add our sentiment and some leaves. So this is just a little stitched rectangle cut from Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to bring in my autumn greeting sentiments. And again, we're going to stamp in, you got it, Early Espresso ink. I think Early Espresso is my most used neutral. I use it even more than black. I don't know. I just really like, it's a really great deep brown. It's a little bit warmer than the black. Okay, so there is my sentiment. I've got ink all over my fingers, so I'm trying not to touch that too much. And then we're going to add some die cut leaves. Now these leaves are not part of the Autumn Essentials dies. These are actually from the Gathered Leaves die set. Okay, so these are die cut from Bumblebee, Cajun Craze, and Pretty Peacock cardstock. So we're going to go ahead and add just a bit of tape to the back of our label here. And then we're going to arrange our leaves. This may not look exactly the same as my original, but that's okay. Does not matter. And we'll add one more little guy down here, just because I've got different size leaves is all. Same elements, just slightly different sizes. Add a little bit more glue there, because that is not sticking. And then we're going to pop this onto the front of our card. Okay, so that's going to go on there. So we'll add a couple of dimensionals. I'll put one down here and one up here, just to make sure my leaves stay put. And get rid of my backings, and we'll pop this onto the front of our card. And I just want to make sure my leaves are kind of centered on my little gingham rectangle there. Okay, so there's my greeting. And then the last couple of touches are to tie a bow with our awesome braided linen trim. So here is your bow lesson. I'm pinching my trim between my thumb and index finger to make 2 little loops. I'm making sure that I keep that ribbon nice and flat. I'm not letting it twist. Okay, then I'm going to cross the left loop over the right, bring it around and through, and pull. Okay, and there is my pretty little bow. Oh, thanks, Julie. All right, so we are going to get rid of this and press the knot of our bow into a glue dot. And then we're going to tuck that right on the corner there of our little label. Okay. And then the last touch is to add some of these fun wooden embellishments. I've had a couple people say to me they don't know what to do with these little guys. And if you think of them kind of like rhinestones or any other little sort of gem embellishment, it becomes easier to use them. Okay, so that's how I kind of think of them. Now these aren't self-adhesive, so we need to use some glue. I like to use the fine tip glue for these because it is super strong. And I'm going to put these on so that they're oriented so that the X, the sort of the line in the X kind of goes in the same direction, same angle as my gingham. That's just the OCD in me. I had them on I had them as plus signs before, and that just was not working for me. So I'm actually going to move this guy over there. Okay. Now, once you get them positioned, you want to take your pick, if I can get the lid off this, to pick them up. You're going to put a little drop of fine tip glue and then just plunk them right back down. Okay, so a little drop of glue. And then we're going to plunk this guy right back where it was. And then just leave it. Okay, and they will set up and they will not go anywhere. Now, you can adhere these with the Tombow liquid glue, the green glue. They will stay. It needs to set up a little bit longer. Okay, it takes a bit longer to set. And we'll add one more down here. There we go. Okay, isn't that fun? I love all of these different textures and elements. And just being able to pull them together to make something cohesive is really, really satisfying. I don't know about you. Oh no, you lost me? Really? Don't tell me that, Louise. I hope I'm still here. It says I'm still live. So if I'm not, please Anybody else see me? Is it just Louise? Maybe Louise lives in the same neighborhood I do, so maybe she's having the same issues I am with internet. I don't know. I'm hoping you guys are still there. Now, on the inside of my sample, I added a Whisper White panel and another sentiment from the stamp set, and some more of those stamped leaves across the bottom. Oh, you're good, Julie. Okay. All right, Heather, you're still good. Okay, so maybe it may just be our neighborhood. Rogers is notoriously bad in our neighborhood. So I'm hoping I'm not hoping Louise has an issue, but I'm thinking that may be just that our neighborhood is not great. Okay, so that is card number 2. All right, so you see me. Okay, sounds like I'm still okay. All right, moving on to number 3. Now this, can you guys spot one of the elements on this card that came from one of the cards I demonstrated last week? This card consists entirely of bits and pieces that were laying on my desk. Okay, sometimes it's fun to just pick up all the, the little bits that kind of just accumulate when you're crafting. So I was cleaning off my desk this weekend and I thought, okay, I got all kinds of this like fallish kind of stuff. What can I do? So I found this tag. So do you remember our moose card, our window card from last week where we die cut the window? It's got Crumb Cake on the back. Do you remember that? Well, that's where I got that from. Yes, the nested label, Heather, you got it. So I took that and then I had these die cut circles from something else. And I thought, okay, well that works. And then I had a whole bunch of leaves and wheat sheaves and things just kind of kicking around. So we thought, okay, we'll use those. And then I had these little pumpkin outlines. I didn't have the background, so I cut the backgrounds and voila, we have a card. So let me just show you all the different elements of this. Again, lots of different bits and pieces that I just kind of kept layering until I was happy with what I had. So this is a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock. It is cut to 4 by, is it 5.5 or 4.5? Yes, 4 by 4.5. Okay. And then this Cajun Craze is 4 and it's also 4 rather. No, it's not. I lied. Did I screw this up? No. Okay. I lied. This is 4 1/4 by 4.5. This is 4 1/4 by 4 3/8 or 4 3/4. Holy cow, you guys, 4 3/4. I will put all of these directions up in all the measurements up in the description afterwards, and I'll make sure they're right, okay? Okay, so there is my background panel, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and layer those. Again, I'm just gonna use my seal on my smooth cardstock so that I don't have issues with tearing. Am I doing this right? Let me make sure I'm getting this the way I want it. There we go. I'm not having a lot of faith in myself tonight because I keep forgetting stuff. I am not quite myself tonight. Those of you who watch me regularly will know that. Okay, there we go. All right, next I have, again, this is that stitch nested label that we die cut from the moose card last week that was sitting on my desk all week. And then I have just a circle, again, that was die cut from some of the In Good Taste DSP. So I'm going to trim just a little bit off the edge of my circle. I'm just going to put it in my trimmer here. And I don't know, I'm cutting off maybe 1/4 inch. Just so I have a straight edge, okay? That's gonna go against the left side of my card. It's gonna go this way, okay? So this is going to get layered like that, okay? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and stick my circle onto my label here as I'm building because we're gonna pop both of them up in a minute. So let's just make sure that's straight on there. And then we're gonna add this right about there. I just want to make sure that that is straight. I'm actually going to use the lines on my plaid and my little board there to make sure that they're aligned. Okay. All right. Next, I have these cute little pumpkins. Now, these pumpkins are cut using the Autumn Essentials dies. Okay. So they're the dies that coordinate with the stamp set that we're using. And it cuts, there's a die to cut a solid pumpkin and one to cut the outline of a pumpkin. All right, so what I can do is layer these and they layer just perfectly. Okay, so I cut these again. I had some scrap of this Plaid Tidings DSP kicking around. So I cut my solid pumpkins out of that. And then these are, the outline ones are cut from Crumb Cake. And again, I used some of the adhesive sheets on the back to make them super easy to stick down. If you don't have the adhesive sheets yet, you seriously need to get some. They make life so much easier when you're dealing with these intricate die cuts. So we're just going to pop that onto there. Okay, so there are 2 little pumpkins, and they are going to go onto our labels here, just kind of like that. Now they are going to get popped up as well. So we're going to pop up our big one first. Get rid of our backings. So again, I'm just positioning all of this. We're going to glue it all down in a minute or two. So we'll put this guy on first, and then this little guy is going to overlap. So we're just going to put a dimensional sort of down in the one corner, and then a little bit of glue here where it's going to overlap the big pumpkin. And again, we'll just get that nice and straight, and then this guy is just going to kind of sit right about there. Okay. All right. Now we are going to pop this up. Okay. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals, top and bottom, and sort of 2 on each side, and we'll put 1 in the middle of our circle. And then we're going to add that. Oh, no, we're not. I almost forgot my twine again, you guys. Seriously. It's one of those days. All right, we're going to add some more of this awesome braided trim. So same way we did on the last card. And this is going, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch up from the bottom. So again, we're just going to add a little bit. Oh, you guys are still there, right? Sorry, I got a weird little thing on my iPad, but I can't see you on the iPad. So, all right, now we're ready to go ahead and add this. And we'll pop it on right about there. Just like that. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to add some leaves and some wheat sheaves. So again, I only need a little bit. I don't need the full thing, the full stock. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that right about there. I didn't do any adhesive sheets on the back of this one, so we'll just use a little bit of liquid glue to stick this on. So we're going to have one here and another one kind of going the other way. So another little bit of glue. I really hate that I can't see the comments. Okay, glad you're here, Heather. Thank you for letting me know. I'm having very little faith in the internet here these days. Okay, so there are wheat sheaves. And then we have a little leaf that is going to tuck right in here like that. So again, we're going to add just a bit of liquid glue and tuck it in. Okay. And then we are going to stamp our label. So I'm going to set this aside. We have exact same size stitched label or stitched rectangle as the last card, but this time it's cut from Crumb Cake. And we're going to use that same Autumn Greetings stamp and our early espresso ink. We'll ink that up and stamp it right centered on our label. And then that is going to get popped up as well. This card is like triple popped. Well, no, double popped, I guess. But yeah, I kind of went a little crazy with the dimensionals today. You like that, Louise? My dimensional addiction? All right. Now, on the end, where this is going to extend, this is actually double popped here at the end because this guy's already popped. So I need to stack 2 dimensionals in order for it to lie flat. So I'm going to just add another dimensional on the end there. And then we're going to pop this on. Again, we're going to hope that it's straight. We'll use our lines on our plaid paper to help us get that straight, just like that. And then we're going to tuck in a couple more leaves. We're going to add a maple leaf under here. I may need to trim a little bit just because we've got dimensionals in the way. We'll get rid of this little bit here. And we can tuck them right in there like that. Okay, so we're going to tuck that leaf in there. I tend to like to add all of my little elements when I've kind of got the foundation of my card built. That's just kind of, it's kind of like floral arranging, I find. Okay, and then we're going to add one more maple leaf kind of up here. Again, we're going to trim a little bit off the bottom so that it looks like it's peeking out. Oh, and there's a little bit of adhesive sheet on this one, so we'll get rid of that. It's amazing what you find when you cut stuff from scrap, right? We'll add this little guy right about there. Okay, now we're ready to deal with our card base. Now, here's a great little tip for you. So when you look at this sample, it looks like my entire card base is that gingham or that plaid DSP, right? but it's not. It's a little illusion. It's a fooler. So all I used is 2 little 1-inch wide strips, top and bottom. So this is a great DSP saver because this DSP is only 6 by 6, right? So if you are wanting to make multiples of these cards, you can use just these little strips and glue them onto your card base, and it looks like you've got an entire base that's plaid. Okay, so my card base is Bumblebee cardstock. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we will fold that in half along our score line. Thank you, Heather. Glad you like that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue my little plaid strips on so that they are flush with the top and bottom edges. So we'll add a little bit of liquid glue on this guy. And we'll pop that on there. I just noticed that these are a little bit shorter than my base. That's okay. I'm going to just slide that over so it's centered. There we are. And then a little bit on this guy along the bottom edge. There we go. And then this is going to get glued right on here. And lo and behold, it looks like I've got a whole plaid background on there. Isn't that cool? Great little way to sort of cheat, to give the illusion of using a full sheet of plaid when you're only using 2 little scrappy strips. All right, so we're going to add this on. This is the same width as our card base, so we're just going to center that. And again, I'm going to use my lines on my plaid to get that nice and straight. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to add a bow. So I'm not going to give you the whole spiel again. I'm just going to go ahead and tie it because you guys have heard it before, right? You're frugal. That's right. There's nothing wrong with frugal crafters. Right, Louise? Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, let's trim that off and we'll add a little bit of a glue dot there. Now this guy's going to just tuck in right at the edge of our label there. And then the last touch is to add some of these gold glitter enamel dots. So these, again, are not in the catalog. They are an online only item, but they are still available in my online store. And they make awesome accents on fall cards just because they've got that bit of shimmer and that gold tone that just works so well for fall. And there we go. Isn't that pretty? Again, made entirely of scraps that were sitting on my desk. Sometimes it's fun to just sit and play with the bits and pieces that you have. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes. All right, let me bring back all of our projects so you can see them all together again. So there we go. I'm getting all of my garbage out of the way here. Now this stamp set, this bundle is one, again, you don't want to miss it in the catalog. All right. It's so, so pretty. And I hope you check it out. This image, this stamp image is just too much fun to color. Honestly, I had a great time coloring it this weekend. All right, everyone, that's it for me. Don't forget, tomorrow is our 24-hour flash stamp sale. So you'll want to check it out. There are awesome stamp sets. Some of my favorite stamp sets from the annual catalog are on sale for 15% off, but only for tomorrow only. Okay. I will have a post up early tomorrow, but there's also one with a host code that I posted earlier today that you can check out. If you go to my online store tomorrow, you'll be able to see there'll be a special section just for the sale, so you can see all of the stamp sets that are on sale and their sale prices. Okay, there is a host code associated with that. If you spend $50 or more using my host code, you get a free pack of holiday rhinestone gems. Okay, so that is my thank you gift for shopping that sale tomorrow. All right, everybody, sorry about all of the ups and downs today. It's been one of those days, but thank you for sticking with me, and I will see you again next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.